Today we have with us two great personalities to start this program. One is Deputy Commissioner, Central Excise and Customs, Vandhana Raj, who's having a lot of experience in the civil services preparation as well as a mentor. She is the one who is going to deliver her experience because she has attended many times the UPSC Civil Services Examination personality test. Not only that, she has got services in the civil service examination many times, but also she got almost 200 out of 275 in her personality test. She is the one who is going to give her tips today. And apart from that, today we have another great person, that is Mr. Asutosh Gupta, who is a mentor and who is an advisor and who has been giving training for many thousands of aspirants across India. He is with us today to welcome you all and to motivate you all. So before we start the special session by Vandana Raj Madam, I request Asto sir to just give some kind of inputs to the students, because for the last 10 days, you people have attended almost all the sessions. The feedback which we have received from all the students, it is really motivating us. Thank you so much for your sincere participation. First of all, I really appreciate your sincere and committed participation. And because of India by Association, this year, Kingmakers IAS Academy is known to almost everywhere in India. More than 300 students have registered for the personality test. All have been given excellent inputs, DAF analysis, one-to-one guidance, and mock interview and special sessions, and so on. So we hope in future also our association will be a really good association for the benefit of the civil service aspirants. Thank you so much, sir, sir, for your wonderful association. Now I request India Boy, popularly known as India Boy, to address the students first. Then we will go for the special session.
Thanks a lot, sir, for such a warm welcome. I warm welcome ma'am Vandana Raj for her because she is giving her precious time to the candidates who are preparing for the civil service interview, and her experience will help a lot for the students to come to know that what kinds of crucial situation they are going to face in the UPSC interview and how to overcome them. Madam will also provide some tips on general practice, that how to practice, what to practice, and what you can do more, because you have 1 month completely for the interview. You can score, you can maximize your score. And I will thank Bhuminathan sir, the director of Kingmaker Academy, for his great contribution for the civil service aspirants, for gathering 10 senior bureaucrats on a single platform, which is not possible anywhere in the country throughout, because so many great civil servants with various backgrounds, they are coming every day they are coming and delivering the unique lecture and specialized lecture on various topics have been already given, displayed to the student beforehand, so that they can prepare their questions in advance and they can ask the senior bureaucrat for the same. And however, many of the students got benefited with this great initiative taken by the Kingmaker Academy. And I thank Bhuminathan sir, and will, because of this uniqueness of the program and sir's association with us, and our association with sir will help the students more in coming years, not only in the interview but also in the prelims and the mains program also. And mostly things we are doing free of cost for the student, so that the student will get the maximum benefit, and providing these valuable lectures on their online platform, so that they can sit at home and see the lecture, note down the something details which are required for the interview. So I thanks a lot, sir, and I warm welcome Vandana ma'am for her. We are eagerly waiting for her experience to share, and from various attempts in the UPSC, and this experience of her will help all of us, and surely we are going to get the great benefit out of it. Thanks a lot, sir, and please welcome ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir. Actually, before I just request Madhavi Madam to introduce our chief guest, she's the one who's going to read the profile of our chief guest. Before that, just I want to just say only one thing about Vandana ma'am. Though we have coached more than thousands of aspirants, particularly for the personality test, there are few personalities whom we cannot forget. One such great personality is Vandana Raj. The one is Mr. Dr. Prabhu Shankar. The second one is Vandana Raj. These two mock interview session I can never forget in my life. Such a wonderful presentation it was there, and actually today you are going to see what kind of person she is, what kind of personality she is possessing. That's the main reason why she was able to get 200 out of 275. In fact, if you or me were there in the panel, I'm sure definitely you would have given more than that. Okay. So such a great person is with us today. So I'm sure definitely you're all going to enjoy the session today. And followed by this 1 hour session, another great personality, that is world first and India's first 100% visually challenged Indian Foreign Service officer, who is currently posted in Paris in the Embassy of India. So she's the one who is going to deliver the session. She's going to share her experience. How was her interview and what was her experience and what it is exactly it is expected, and what kind of tips you can follow, because these two great personalities really they performed well even during their mock interview. So that is the main reason why I requested both of them, and I'm very happy, and I want to thank particularly now Vandana already she has joined, and Beno is going to join. I want to thank on behalf of the academy and on behalf of the students, our great chief guest Vandana Raj, as well as our Beno Safin and Astos Gupta. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation, Vandana Raj. So now I request Madhavi to just introduce our chief guest.
Thank you, Ashutosh Gupta sir and Bhuminathan sir. It's a great pleasure indeed to welcome our one of the topper of 2016 batch, Miss S. Vandana Raj, an IRS customs officer. She is currently posted as a deputy commissioner in Chennai Customs. She has played an important role in detection and investigation of various cases, including gold smuggling, drug trafficking, and smuggling of foreign currencies. As master trainer for implementation of e-office, she has created a series of educational videos that serve as a valuable training resource. She has represented Indian customs at the World Customs Organization FICUT conference with a presentation on humanitarian customs, namely role of customs during the COVID pandemic. She has also represented India as a delegate to the Harvard Project for Asia and International Relations. This was held at Harvard University, Boston. Her hobbies include singing and playing the flute. She was one of the topper in that particular batch, and she is the right person to end this special session with her own experience and much more to take back and implement those points in your personality test. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. A very good evening to all of you. I hope I'm audible and I'm visible.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So firstly, thanks to Kingmakers IAS Academy, especially Bhuminathan sir, for having invited me on this occasion. And many congratulations for the wonderful series of sessions, which comprised of 10 days of holistic understanding and a very comprehensive approach to the interview process. It's very fortunate that the civil service aspirants today are exposed to such a very holistic program for interview preparation. So kudos to Kingmakers IAS Academy and sir specifically. And thank you, India Bhai, Ashutosh sir, for having for the wonderful words of introduction. And thank you, Madhavi, for also very warmly welcoming me. So, friends, boys and girls, a very, very happy evening to all of you. I think you're almost in the last stage of your UPSC preparation. Probably one phase which is so unpredictable that you will never really understand what went inside the interview hall till the time the results come out. So I would just say that this, as much as it is unpredictable, it's also the most interesting part of the preparation. I'm sure all of you here would have Googled for UPSC interviews even before you started preparation. All of us are so curious to know what interview questions will be asked. And testimony to that is a lot of YouTube viewers and the huge number of views and likes on all the mock interviews by various academies. So what really happens inside that hall for probably 30 to 45 minutes is so interesting and so nerve-wracking that each one of us want to be there and each one of us want to give our best shot. And that's exactly what we all try to do. And having attended a couple of interviews, I can say that what is most needed is to keep your cool and be as confident as possible. Okay, so yes, somebody just said that you'll have to switch on your video. Thanks. I was about to say the same thing.
It's me.
It feels like I'm talking to some empty spaces. So it would be nice if all of you can switch on your videos, and it will also show an amount of seriousness on your side. And it's also nice to keep cool and see each other, all the other 10 spaces who are also in this process of interview preparation.
Friends,
Yeah.
this is the last day session. Even we want to know your just face and other things. So it's better. Please switch on your video.
Yeah, I think a lot of you are very obedient. So nicely
Thanks.
switched on videos. Yeah, so here we go. I think all these 10 days, you must have had a very brief overview of how things are, what are the things that you should study, what are the things that you should not study. And I think it would have been a very holistic session, I'm sure. So my job here is to give a first-hand perspective of what it was, rather than tell you like how it should be. I'm just going to explain how my interview was and what I think should be an ideal way of preparation for interview. So firstly, let me just say interview is a wrong term to use. It's more a personality test. Okay, that's the first thing to start with. It is not an interview. Nobody is there to find out about you, like as in interview as like a viva voce. That's not what they are there for. It's more a test of your personality, right? So what you should do is to show as much as of your personality as is possible during that interview. Essentially, you have to show off yourself, and show off in a way that's authentic and that's true to what you are, right? So you don't have to pretend. No, don't be fake. Don't have an accent, or don't try to give ideal answers. Nobody's looking for that. Be as much real as possible and be as much logical as possible. Okay, give as much rational answers. Don't say anything because you heard them, because you felt so, rather because you think so, right? So that'd be the first thing that I would say, that it's a personality test, that it's a test of your personality, of showing the authentic you, who you are as a person, right? And secondly, I would say that always at any situation, keep cool and be as confident as possible. There's enough preparation that you have done till now. There's nothing more that you should learn as of now. Only thing that you will probably have to read is that day's newspaper, and that is really, really important. I had almost 90% of my questions on that day's newspaper alone. The remaining 10% was about who I was, my DAF, etc. And I scored 193 in that interview. So it's like you just have to have that presence of mind to know what is there, what is happening around you, and to logically be able to comprehend things. Because of course, if it's today's newspaper, it's not going to be your preparation that's going to help, right? You can't prepare for today's newspaper in a matter of 1 hour, just if it's the forenoon session, or half a day if it's the afternoon session. So you will have to show your presence of mind. You will have to show that you are cool, calm, and you have your presence of mind intact, right? That is second. And thirdly, I would say that have a very good structure to your answers. Okay, so now this is a little getting a little bit in depth into the interview process. So how do you as such prepare for this personality test? So all of you know you have a DAF, and each DAF is unique, right? Because somebody's hobby is similar to yours, there's no guarantee that you're going to be asked the same question as the other person, right? So it is extremely important that you show your uniqueness, and you also understand that's a very unique style of preparation that you will need to undergo, right? So firstly, take your DAF, and every single point of your DAF, try to frame questions. I had almost 150 questions that I had framed along with my friends, along with my mentors, with respect to my DAF, right? This was something that I did in my very first interview, and this solid preparation helped me throughout the number of times that I gave my interview, right? So take your DAF, and even the minutest of detail, like, you know, I stay in a place called Kannadasan Street. Okay, so Kannadasan was a poet, a Tamil poet, and I was asked questions in my interview about Kannadasan, right? So as minute and as detailed preparation it is, it helps you. So frame as many questions as possible vis-a-vis your DAF. That's step one. Step two is to write down the answers. This may sound very, childish or very, I would say, juvenile, but it's very, very important that you write down the answers, because it will give much better clarity to the way you think, to the way you deliver, right? So when you start writing down answers, automatically structure will fall into place. And have a particular structure, like you say, firstly, so and so point, secondly, this is what I feel, thirdly, this is what I feel, and so overall, this is my answer. Okay, so that shows that you are thinking, you have a thought process. So whenever you're talking, there is a structure in the way you think and the way you deliver, right? So second point would be to write down your answers with proper structuring. I'm sure all of you must have given mains. All of you know how to structure your answers. It's nothing new. But whenever somebody asks us a question, we immediately blurt the answer, right? When we think like, the economic stimulus today that the finance minister announced is good or bad for the economy, immediately you jump with either a good or a bad. But what you are more expected is to say what you think about it in a few sentences with a proper structure, and then tell whether it's good or bad according to your opinion. Okay, it doesn't mean that you will have to be neutral and say that it is always good or it is bad, or it was good but it can be bad. I mean, people try to tell you that give balanced answers, and you ultimately give very hanging in the air kind of answers, like it can be good but it could have been better, things like that. You stick to a point. If you have a point, you feel that this is much less and much more could have been done, stick to it. If you feel that this was a good step, stick to that. So whatever is your viewpoint, stick to that with clear reason. That will come when you start writing your answers. Okay, and thirdly, rehearse them. Okay, at the end of the day, you all can write well. That's established. You've all been through mains. So mains is a very rigorous process of lot of writing. So all of you can write. That is known by now. What you need to tell them is that you can communicate, you can articulate. So the third step is to rehearse it. And I leave that to you. You rehearse it in front of a mirror, or you rehearse it in front of friends, or through mock interviews, or through your mentors. It's up to you. But the idea is to talk as much as possible about whatever you feel, right? There shouldn't be a block of, I'm thinking so much, but I don't know how to communicate it. That shouldn't happen. Okay. And in that, I also want to mention that it's possible that, you feel a little low if you're not fluent with English. If you feel that you're more conversant in your mother tongue, do not have that hesitation. It's totally okay. Nobody is there to test your English. Nobody wants a very flowery language. Everybody wants to know what you think, what your idea is, more rather than your language. Okay. So remove that myth that, you need to be very communicative. You need to be very articulative about what you think. You need to have a good command over the language. Nothing like that. There have been people who have given interviews in their vernaculars and have been toppers. And even if you do not or have not chosen that way, you can still speak in English that is as much convenient to you and still convey what you want to convey. The more important fact is the idea or your thinking or the logic that you're giving for your answer. Okay. So it's not about how you say it. I mean, it's also about how you say it, but it's more about what you say. Okay. So these are three just basic ideas with respect to interview that I wanted to throw. And so overall, these are some ground rules that I wanted to mention. And in case any one of you have doubts, we can just quickly take a couple of them for 5 minutes, and then I'll proceed with my interview. Like, I hope that's okay, sir.
Yes, Vandana, please proceed. At the end, we can have some question and answer session. Now we can share your experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So firstly, as I said, my experience was I prepared the DAF very thoroughly. And second is current.
Vandana, please tell me how many times you have appeared, because which experience you are going to share, because you have a lot of experience.
Sir, I do not know which interview, which question happened, but I have attempted 4 interviews, and yeah, and all 4 I cleared. So
I actually have a doubt, ma'am. For the students, on behalf of students, I like to ask you, ma'am.
yeah, sure, please.
How many mocks going to the interview? How many mocks the student should go for, and how much to take from the mock? And if at all there are certain comments given by the mock, ma'am, how to take it forward? This can be a major.
Very true, Madhavi. I think it's a very, very common question that a lot of people have, like how many mocks is good enough and so on. I'll just tell you one thing. It's totally how confident you feel. Okay. Some people may feel confident after 2 mock tests itself. And some people may not feel confident even after 10 to 15 mocks. Okay. So I'll just give you a small tip there. After every mock interview that you give, just introspect a little more. Okay. What happens in the mock is much less important than what happens during your introspection. So the more you introspect, the more you find out what went wrong or what went right, the lesser mocks you will actually need. Right. So try to introspect as much. And even if one mock you're giving, give it with full confidence, give it with the understanding that you have prepared 100% and you're going to deliver 100%. Have that mindset before you enter that mock. And once you've done with that mock, sit with that entire experience for like say half an hour and try to jot down everything that happened during that mock. Just introspect and you will know on your own that whether you need to give one more mock or whether you're good enough now. Right? It's as good as you eat your breakfast and you don't know whether you're full or not. It's a personal feeling, right? Only when you eat you will know, and only when you give a mock test you will know whether this was good enough or I need more, I need to have some more idlis or not. Is a personal decision that you will decide based on your previous experience. But don't go with any kind of an idea that I will need to give 10 mocks, I will need to give 15 mocks, and don't take whatever they're saying at the mock interviews as a thumb rule. Never do that. Nobody can judge you in a matter of half an hour, right? Though UPSC attempts to do the same thing, I don't think it's 100%, possible for anyone to be judged in half an hour. So it's possible that people may go wrong about your personality, about judging you. So do not take anything to heart. If there are some concrete constructive suggestions, take them up, work on them. And if there is some criticism also, try to work on them, but don't take anything too personally, right? So yeah. I hope that answered. If any other question also, we can take it up right now.
Yes,
Otherwise,
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I have another question, ma'am.
Yeah.
With your experience, can you share us how firm we should be in an opinion? Say, for example, there are panel members who are well experienced and knowledge than us. If they are trying to streamline you with another opinion than what you have, how to respond to that, ma'am?
Madhavi, if I may ask, how many have you attended an interview, or how many interviews have you attended in?
Four,
can I-
four,
have,
four.
Yeah.
3 years of experience in interview, ma'am. I have done forest service interview
Yeah.
with Alka Surahib ma'am board, and one interview with Vinay Mittal, and one interview with Sujata Mehta board.
Okay. Nice. So yeah, very profound question actually, and it involved a lot of experience in that question. I can just say one thing that, when somebody is actually countering you, there are two possibilities. One, you are wrong and they're countering you. Second, you're right and they're countering you. Okay. It's very hard to figure out the difference when you're actually talking, because you will always assume that you are right and you're talking. But whenever there is a counter, just pause and think for a moment, and just analyze if the person's viewpoint is also valid or not. Okay. Most of the times it's possible that, they're just testing you. They're just testing how firm you are in your answer. But sometimes they may also try to give you a better perspective, right? At that time, you shouldn't come across as somebody who's very stubborn and rigid in their viewpoints. You should also be flexible to understanding a different perspective, right? So it involves some amount of thinking on the feet. It involves some amount of presence of mind. But I would just say, take a pause and think for a moment, impartially, whether whatever the other person is saying makes sense to you or not. If it makes sense to you, take a step back and say, sorry, sir, it's quite possible that this is also true. I am mistaken. There's nothing wrong in apologizing. There's nothing wrong in taking a step back. It's completely okay, because they understand that you are realizing a different perspective, and you're flexible, you're accommodative of a different interest, right? At the end of the day, as a civil servant, this is something that is an essential skill. You will need to understand different perspectives. There are going to be so many other equations around, and it's important to understand each one of them, right? So you shouldn't come across somebody that, I have my ears shut, I have made my mind, I am not going to change my mind, right? That's not what you should be. But if you are taking a stand, if you still feel that whatever stand you have taken is fine and it's perfect, and that's how you should be, if you are thoroughly convinced with it, go for it. Nothing like it. Okay. So only advice is, take a step back, pause, think impartially, and you will have the answer.
That's great, ma'am. One more question from the students.
Yeah.
How to answer an open-ended question, ma'am?
I can't hear you, Bandhu.
How to answer an open-ended question? Open-ended question.
Open-ended question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Like, can you give me an example?
So say, for example, how the education sector can develop in 20 years.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
How the education sector can develop in this 20 years.
Sir, can you please help?
Yeah. Vandana. See, for example, sometimes they are asking the questions like, do you think that nowadays most of the senior civil servants are corrupt?
Mm.
So straight away they are asking that kind of questions.
Mm.
So what will you, how will you respond to this kind of questions? For example, I'm telling.
Okay. So this is one question which is controversial. Firstly, identify that it's a controversial question. Obviously, you cannot accept that civil servants are corrupt. Obviously, you cannot say none of them are corrupt. Okay, so it's somewhere in between, and it's an opinionated question. So it's more about the worldview that you have seen, and also about how practical you are to the reality too, right? So the way I would answer is, it is possible that there is this allegation that senior civil servants are corrupt, some of them, and there have been cases against them. You can quote a few cases, like be it the coal scam, or there were few cases wherein it was alleged that corruption among senior bureaucrats was possible. But however, it is also true that uh, not all grapes are rotten in a basket. Okay, it is possible that a few rotten grapes exist that spoil the basket, but it doesn't mean that all of the grapes in the basket are rotten, right? So it doesn't mean that all civil servants or senior civil servants are corrupt. A few might be there, and for which the legal system, the judicial system is there to take its own course. But that doesn't mean a lot of the good work that is done by civil servants can be generalized that way. Yeah, that would be my answer.
Yes, ma'am, your experience, please, ma'am. We will take the question.
Yes, yes.
One more thing with the open-ended questions. See, open-ended questions are like places where you can either hit a 6 or score a duck, right? If you have a very, it's just like an open field. They're just asking you to play. Nobody is even giving you a question. That's the idea. So these questions can be answered with better preparation, is what I feel. Like, for instance, like if I can think of something like women empowerment, right? What do you think of women empowerment? How do you ensure that there is women empowerment? So it's a very, very open-ended question. There are multiple ways by which you can ensure women empowerment, and you can just pick 2 or 3 points and elaborate on them, and whichever is most relevant to you. To me, I would say women empowerment firstly deals with education of girl children. Second, financial literacy. Third, employment. These 3 to me is women empowerment. If these 3 are there, I feel the woman is empowered, right? And I can go about with giving examples of how these 3 are most significant for women empowerment, according to me. So hit the bullseye, find out what is most important in that particular topic, and just say those few points, right? You don't have the luxury of, say, 5 to 10 minutes for an answer. It's just going to be probably 30 seconds to 45 seconds. So hit the bullseye, right? So similarly, for poverty alleviation, what would you say for poverty alleviation? Think of 3 points, just 3 points, and always have them at the back of your head, that if it's going to be poverty alleviation, I'm going to say these 3 points, right? So open-ended questions are like, your place to score a 6. You should utilize them really well. And that comes with better preparation. And you don't have to really prepare anything for this. You just have to sit and think, right? These are not new problems. No, nobody's talking about women empowerment like just a year ago. It's been there since forever. And poverty, similarly, education issues, similarly. So all of these long-term major issues, you can just think and have a few points in mind. And whenever you're getting such open-ended questions, you can just, okay. So can we move?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you. So I think I did cover a few of my stories also through the entire session. Just a little more about what questions I was asked and how things were. I can say that, so firstly, I entered on, I had an interview on June 21st once. It was International Day of Yoga. And I just entered the room, and the first question they asked me was, what day is it? And what's the relevance? I said it's International Day of Yoga. But I was a little nervous because it was my first question and I hadn't actually settled in. And the next question was, tell us few asanas. Okay. It might sound very trivial, but back then I couldn't recollect even one asana. Even Shavasana was something I couldn't recollect. So it was that much of a googly because I was just sitting down and the first question they asked me was tell us some asanas because it's international. So this happens. Okay. There are like two possibilities. One, they judged me as, somebody who doesn't even know basic asanas. Or second, they thought that, okay, give me some time to settle in. Or maybe I said like, sorry, sir, I'm not able to recollect anything right now. They might have felt that, okay, she's honest. She's not able to recollect anything. She's not like coming up with any random things. So there are two possibilities. Okay. And I felt that either way, it's not like, it has no relevance to my next question. Okay. So that's where I felt I maintained my cool. And I just felt, okay, my first question was kind of, it was not a googly, but I interpreted it as a googly. And I didn't make much of it out of it. So my second question, I came back to my cool. I told myself, okay, first went bad, no problem. We'll pick up from the second. Right? So this is an example of, I just want to tell you that no one question determines your result. Okay, however trivial it is, however stupid mistake you make, no one question determines your result. You never should feel that, oh my God, I lost it. Never. Okay, always keep trying, keep going for the next question, and have that as your first question. Okay, so that was one example. And second, I would say that, they come up with certain controversial questions as sir just asked, like how senior bureaucrats are corrupt, etc. To me, once they asked a question about why are all women leaders very autocratic. Okay, back then we had Jayalalitha, we have Mamata Banerjee. We have a lot of women leaders who are considered very, tough and very autocratic and so on. So they asked me, like, as a woman, tell us what's the thing about, women being so rough and tough when they come into politics. Okay, it's more a specific question on women in politics. So I can't, it's like a tricky question. I can't possibly say, yes, sir, they're all arrogant. They're all autocratic. There's no other way out. That's how it is. Or I can't as well say that, no, they're not arrogant. They're not autocratic. Right. So then I told them, like, sir, women in our society are brought up in a patriarchal mindset where you're always socially conditioned to be submissive. Right. And especially in political scenario where you have, there is a lot of criminalization, where there's a lot of corruption. For a woman to come above that, to rise above that, it involves a lot more of, internal strength and power and an ability to show that they are tough. Right? So that kind of a setup is what brings about such autocratic rulers as such. However, most of these women rulers have done excellent administration, be it Tamil Nadu or be it West Bengal, or be it in India when Sonia Gandhi was there. So all of them have also proved themselves as excellent administrators. So it would not be probably fair to judge them merely as autocratic rulers, but also on their administrative ability. So this was my answer. Just to say that, go behind the depth of the question. It's possible that, there is a reason, there is a rationale behind why certain things exist in the manner in which they exist. Right? So such kind of tricky questions, you can only answer behind the logic. You have to go into the depth and understand why it is so. Right? So this was another question. And thirdly, coming from Tamil Nadu, I was also asked about the entire cinema culture in politics. like hero worship, and why we are always behind, either MGR or Rajnikant, or now Kamal Hassan. Back then we had Jayalalitha. I mean, so many people. So what is this with Tamil Nadu people and cinema vis-a-vis politics, right? Why this kind of a cult worship or this hero worship? So my answer was, so I again went back to the history of it. Firstly, in history we have this thing called megalith culture. In megalith culture, Tamil culture have this evidence of a lot of worship of heroes, a lot of cultural symbols, and historically we have worshipped our heroes. Okay, whoever have been our rulers, we've also not seen them as rulers, but more as heroes, and probably as demigods. One. Secondly, in our Sangam literature also, we have a lot of evidence of the same. And thirdly, during the self-respect movement, we found that entertainment was majorly used to spread social awareness. A lot of events like Terukuthu or like entertainment shows, all of them captured social messages along with entertainment. So people began to see people who are spreading social messages as their heroes, as their role models, even though they were merely actors. But from time immemorial, we have always seen them to be heroes. So this is a part of history. However, I also mentioned that with more education, with more literacy being spread among the people of Tamil Nadu, we are also giving a lot of weightage to the governance aspect of these leaders. They have not all been elected so long merely because of their ability to act in movies, merely because of their charisma, but rather because of their administrative ability. And proof for that is that Tamil Nadu is one of the most developed states with respect to social indicators. Like be it health or education, Tamil Nadu is far ahead when compared to the rest of the states in India. So this just proves to say that we have had good administration and good governance. So this was a question again, which was controversial, which was tricky, but you again go into the depth of it, identify the logic, and then try to understand what is the reason behind it. Yeah. Yeah, about IRS posting transfer, I don't think this is the platform. We can probably address it later. And yeah, so some of these questions I'll take a little later. But apart from that, what other question? Yeah, so I did work for a brief time in a bank, in State Bank of India, as a probationary officer. So I was also asked about banking sector in general, like about NPA crisis, about PGNI committee, and so on, like a lot of economics related questions. And another question that I was asked was about Vijay Mallya. At that time, and still for that matter, Vijay Mallya was very much in news for all the wrong reasons, and about why State Bank had to give huge amount of loans to Vijay Mallya, and does it indicate corruption in the banking system? That is what they were hinting at. So how I tackled this question was, whenever a bank is lending, it's seeing about it, all they check is the credit worthiness of the individual and the feasibility of the business at that point of time, right? Kingfisher Airlines was a very successful airlines when it started. It had a bright future and the banks believed that. What happened later was bad economic decisions, bad business decisions, a lot of bad luck also, that the aviation turbine fuel prices increased, owing to which the profitability of the airlines was affected. So many things happened much later, for which it's not very fair to blame the banks alone for the amount of NPAs that Kingfisher or Vijay Mallya was generating. However, I also added that in order to avoid such situations, we'll need to do better profiling. Risk profiling of the person, understanding of better, the company's prospects and growth. So, and also ensuring better governance in the banking structure, because there is also a possibility of cronyism with respect to the board members or the administrative decisions that a bank takes, and for which we also had the PGNI committee recommendations. I also mentioned them. So this is another example of how your answers can be structured in a manner that you cover it holistically and comprehensively. And
Ma'am, there are doubts. Can I
yeah, please.
redirect to you?
Yeah.
Ma'am, yes. The question is that there are people who have appeared for civil service after a gap of 4 years or 5 years after graduation. So if they don't know about the graduation question, how to tackle that now, and if they are unemployed, also how to tackle that.
Okay. See, I'll just tell you one thing. It's not always possible to have a very rosy profile. Okay. Not all of us can be first attempters. Not all of us can be in very, good, well-placed jobs and quit and take up civil services. They also understand that from all of this, they also know that you're passionate about civil services, right? What you need to know, what you need to show them is that you're that passion, that you were so driven in the preparation that even after 4 years of working somewhere, and still you want to take up civil services, one. And even if you're unemployed, it's at the cost of civil services, it's at the cost of wanting to be a civil servant. So you should probably not think of it as a negative, and secondly, channelize it and explain it in a manner that shows that this is the reason, or I have been so passionate about this, and that is why this happened. And 4 years I worked because I was passionate about that field at that time, or maybe my economic situation, my family situation, I was employed, and later I wanted to take up civil services. I wanted to self-sustain my own preparation, which shows that you are independent, which shows that you are brave and bold. So that way also you can take. And secondly, with respect to not knowing your UG or your PG course related aspects, it's possible. They also understand that it's been quite some time, and it's okay. I wouldn't say that there's nothing hard and fast about it. They're not going to be like, you studied this for 4 years, how come you don't know it? You just try to brush through the basics of it. It shouldn't happen that very basic questions you're not able to answer, right? You just pick up whatever is extremely basic to your subject and ensure that you know that well. Apart from that, if they're going to ask something really technical, you can always say, like, you're not aware of it right now. You don't have to give any reasons like, it's been 4 years since I quit and I don't know. Don't have to say all that. Just mention that, sorry sir, I do not recollect it. As simple as that. It just conveys your honesty.
How to answer a question when they're asking about your weakness, ma'am? What's your weakness, ma'am?
Okay. I never had this question. So
I had actually.
Okay.
They asked me in Sujata Mehta board about after the chairman, the first person asked me about what is your first responsibility when you're appointed as a district collector?
Okay.
So what I told is, sir, first I'll analyze that particular district which I'm placed. So I'll be doing a SWOT analysis. And I proceeded with my answering. Certainly, the person who was in the third person or fourth person, he said, do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Then it was, actually, I enjoyed that question, ma'am. I enjoyed the question and I answered all the things.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to show your authenticity.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So how true you are to yourself and to the board, that see, at the end of the day, you shouldn't get too vulnerable also in front of the board. You shouldn't get too oh god, I'm very sensitive. You shouldn't mention these things, but a few things like maybe you're not punctual, or you have to work on your time management skills. I mean, general things that all of us may have, you can put that forth. It's okay. Everybody have their own plus and minus, and everybody understands that. It's just an opportunity for them to know you. Like it's one answer by which they're able to judge you from your mouth, right? So at the end of 30 minutes, that's what they're going to do. So they're just starting out to do that from your own answer. So you can either play strategic and say that, these are the things that I want to show the board, or you can as well be authentic and tell them that this is what I am. So it works either ways.
Thank you. Actually, the students are a little frightened when they want to ask being emotional.
Huh.
Now, can they say weakness as being emotional or something? Actually, I don't think so. Being emotional is weakness. What do you want to say about that?
See, I think the board will also want you to be emotionally stable, right? At the end of the day, they're looking for an officer. It's also important that you don't become too, all of us have emotion attached to certain issues, right? So there are issues like LGBT, there are issues like women empowerment, where people are emotional about it. You have some, mental health, for instance, like you have had experiences, or your friends or your family, and everybody feels that emotion. But interview is not the place for you to show that side of yours, right? You also have to be as stable as possible, especially when such questions that touch too much personal to you. Like, you might have had a personal experience, is what I'm saying, but you don't have to go forth with that in the interview. After all, it's a professional interview. They're testing you for, whether you're suitable for this job or not. And it's important that you're as emotionally stable and calm and composed for that, to tackle that, right? So show that you are an officer. You already have it in you to be stable, to face any storm. At the end of the day, there's a lot of storms waiting to be seen when you take up civil services, and they want you to have that courage to face each storm, right? And when at that time, if you're going to be emotional and you're going to be like, okay, no, I'm very attached to this cause, I want to do as much personally for this cause, it's not very taken of you. So it's nice and it's good to be emotionally stable.
In your experience, you told me that you had read the newspapers, but the thing is that the people get very afraid and very tensed to read that particular day newspaper if they have it in the morning. If they have the interview in the morning, it happened to me that if it is in the morning, they started reading the newspaper, Indian Express, Times of India, Hindu, Financial Times, Business Standard, whatever be, they'll be cramming all those newspapers. What do you want to tell them as a message now?
See, as I said, one interview of mine, and that was probably my best interview, I had like 90% from that day's newspaper. Okay. And I would also like to add that day's newspaper is not something extremely new, unless it's something like International Day of Yoga. Like, it's just that day where, you're not going to hear about yoga like in another year, unless it's June 21 again, right? So until it is issues like that, most of the news are something that's very common only, which is where it's happening. So you already have an inbuilt understanding of the issue. For instance, today's economic stimulus that FM announced, you already have an idea of what damage COVID has caused to the economy. And all you need to just understand is what the FM is trying to do through this economic stimulus. You don't have to cram them. You just need to understand what she's trying to bring about. She's trying to give some credit support. And whether credit support alone is sufficient can be a question for which you already have an answer during your mains preparation or doing your economics preparation. You don't need to read that day's newspaper to know that, right? So what I'm trying to say is most of the answers are something that are already known to you, just that they might appear in the news on that particular day. So that is one. Don't lose your cool, but just answer from whatever you know about that particular issue. And secondly, it also helps to read the online news the previous day. Okay, that's a smarter thing to do, because you don't have to look at newspaper that day and try to figure out stuff. Online, it's going to be available the previous day. So if you're going to track the online news, it's available. And there are a lot of these Rajya Sabha interviews and all of that on particular issues. So if an issue is coming up suddenly, if say India Sri Lanka issue is on the news on that day, you've already tracked it through some source. And I usually refer to Rajya Sabha interviews, and there were a lot of good shows that happened, like India's World, etc. So that gave me a good understanding. So if some of these YouTube videos, or I'm suggesting Rajya Sabha because it's the voice of the government. They are, and it involves a lot of experts who are talking on very many issues in a very threadbare way. So such government related channels can help you give a perspective of the government. And of course, when you want to work for the government, it's important to know them, and also to, if you can put forth that, that will also be nice. So that's something that I would add.
Thank you.
Once, just to add, I had one question that, at that time they were just about to stop ambassador cars. So that was the news that day. Like, what is your opinion? There's going to be no ambassador cars, and we are losing something that is so much a symbol of Indian pride, and it was an Indian innovation, and now we have a lot of foreign cars. And so, what is your take on losing something that was there for so long? So I said, like, I was just reminded of a quote by Jawaharlal Nehru, and that quote said, like, even in today's world, if you want to even stand in a particular place, you have to keep running. Change is the only constant. So it is important that we keep adapting ourselves to the new things, new innovations, and that's the way forward.
Vandana, almost we are in the end of the session. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs. Particularly, you have given wonderful answers how to respond to controversial questions and debatable questions. And these are all the questions which will be in the minds of all the interview candidates. For all those questions, you have really given wonderful answers. Thank you so much. And I request you to give the final message to the aspirants, those who are going to appear for the interview. Because one question I have for you, that is, continuously we were preparing for the civil service examination, though sometimes we were not able to get the surveys, and in between you got the surveys, and very few people have seen that in spite of a lot of difficulties, a lot of struggle, still they used to prepare for the examination, and finally they'll reach their destination. You are such one among the one of the such wonderful candidate. So what is the final message you want to give to the students?
Thank you for the kind words, sir. I think, firstly, this exam is like a marathon. there is no stop unless you want to exhaust. But that said, I think I always had this, that, this exam is more like evlo adicha thanguva.
Tell it in English, because the people are mostly from north. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more like, how much can you withstand, right? That's this exam about. How much ever you're beaten, you should stand up and fight again. Never give up, and that will be my message. And keep your cool. Be as cool as a cucumber, right? And it's just another exam. Don't have to take too much. You just keep your cool and be your natural self. That will definitely take you through. All the very, very best to all of you. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Madhavi, for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Wonderful having you.
And my hi to Benno also. It's been really long time. And
how are you?
I'm good, Benno. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. It's lovely to hear you.
Here.
Learn a lot from your speech now. So I just don't know what I should speak, because you have covered all my...
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll just stay around for a little bit, and then.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Friends, I know her for the last 7 to 8 years. She was one of the greatest women I have ever seen in my life. The woman who is known for her struggle and hard work. And not only that, her perseverance, the quality of perseverance, it's something very great, which one should learn from her. She will never give up. Once if she has decided that she wants to achieve, she will achieve it. Such a great personality is with us today. And just imagine that the people with all the facilities, with all the things, even today they are thinking that whether will it be possible for them to clear the civil service examination. But no one from India, no one from the world who till her achievement, They cleared the civil service examination, but in spite of that, she made it possible as India's first, the world first 100% visually challenged foreign service officer. Now she's the role model for all the women in India and all the women in the world, and particularly for the civil service aspirant. She is with us today. I'm sure her words will be really a very good motivation for all the students, those who are going to appear for the personality test. And I'm really happy to welcome on behalf of the Kingmakers IAS Academy, as well as the students of the Kingmakers IAS Academy. Thank you, Bino, for accepting our invitation. Though I know very well that you are very busy in coordination with the different countries and other things. In spite of that, you have accepted our invitation. Thank you so much, Bino. Now over to Bino Safai.
Good evening to all who are just listening to me at this occasion. Actually, I thank Bhuminathan sir for these kind words. Actually, I'm a product of this academy, and I know sir as a person, as a human being, not just, he's not just a person who will help you to prepare for the civil services, but the director of this academy also helps you until you are placed in the service. In the sense, he gives you support, he gives you motivation, and sir was the reason for me to become India's first visually challenged IFS, because he was a big source of motivation, support, and confidence to me. So thank you, sir, for inviting me to speak to my juniors. Good evening. I would like to start with the quote of Madam Margaret Cousins. Appreciation can make a day, even change a life. Your willingness to put it into actions is all that is necessary. You know, you have come up to this extent where you are actually preparing yourselves to be in the portals of the UPSC. I think even if you're appearing for the interview the second time or the third time, you should really start appreciating yourselves, because that will give you a lot of confidence and motivation. I would like to just give you a quote where Madam Helen Keller said, "The only thing worse than having sight is having sight but no vision. The only thing worse than having no vision is having sight but no vision." So you guys, whoever has cleared this mains examination with absolute determination and incredible dedication, you guys had a vision, and what is all required at this juncture is to transform those thoughts, your hard work, into your words at the personality test. Actually, whenever I think of the personality test, I remember Valentine's Day or any other day, like for example, Mother's Day, Father's Day, where you take immense efforts or you make immense preparations to make the other person happy. In short, for Valentine's Day, you give roses to portray the best of you. You portray the best of your qualities to whoever that is. And similarly, personality test is something which warrants huge preparation. Yet, there is a difference. In all the other days, in all those celebrations, you try to show the best of you. But here at the personality test, you got to just portray yourself in the best manner possible. Nobody, none of the board members expect that you portray only the best of you, but all that they require to see is how you are able to present yourself in the best manner possible. Actually, my interview started with the minute one on May 12th, 2014. Actually, I got David Sir's board. I went into the room. Before going into that particular room where I was aspiring to go, I must tell you something. I am a person who works hard until the requirement is there to work hard. You know what I mean? When you will go into the UPSC portal, there is nothing more, nothing that you can prepare after that. Because you had all the time on earth to prepare everything, and now it is the time to cherish yourself. It is the time that you should be cherishing the work that you have done. And when you are cherishing yourself, you will maintain that cool heart. You will maintain that, a confident mind will be prepared, and the mind will be fertile for you to reap your thoughts and then put them into words and actions in the before the board. So, there is nothing that you can do after that. Never worry that you didn't prepare, or I must have prepared this, I didn't study this, I didn't study that. That's why I said, like other celebrations, you need not, please the board, or you need not please people by showing the best of you. But here, you should be portraying yourself in the best manner possible. When I went into my room, David sir was the chairman, and I went in, and sir invited me, and sir said, call after calling me into the room, he said, young lady, get in. So I just got into the room, and sir asked me to sit, and I wished good morning, sirs. I did not. I also said actually good morning, sirs and madam, but sir somehow I think it didn't. It was not very audible. That was my error. But sir said, Benno, there is a lady member. Then I said, I stood up again, and I said that good morning, sirs and madam. So you can make an impression right from there, and you need not get tensed. For this reason, oh my God, what would sir think? Why did I do this? Why wasn't I audible? If you keep thinking about all these things, probably you will lose the tempo of the personality test, and you will not be able to perform as you will be able to do at a normal time. So after that, he asked me, how are you? This personality test is all about how you're able to utilize every single opportunity to portray what you think. So I was asked this question, how are you? I could have just ended up with saying, I'm fine. I said, sir, I'm fine, cool, calm, composed, and confident. So that those many adjectives could express what my state of mind was at that particular moment. After that, sir said, the chairman asked me, are you a follower or do you want to be a leader? I said, sir, I want to be both. I wanted to be a leader in the sense that I would be able to serve the nation. At the same time, I want to be a follower of the noble principles enunciated by noble people. Then he said, oh, lady, now I see your profile and I can make out that your hobby is oratorical skills. I was very happy. I saw that as a compliment because I didn't know that sir was actually keen in seeing my hobby, and he said that he recognized that I have certain oratorical skills. I was happy. You know, um, so when you are before the board, just be conscious. From the beginning, just don't forget that you are being observed. So, right from the way you sit, right from the way you talk, right from your voice modulation. Please, when you enter in, observe the size of the room and adjust your voice, adjust the magnitude of your voice according to the size of the room and the number of people seated in front of you and how big the table is, the things like that. So that's very important, because the presentation is as important, in fact more important, in personality test. So when you sit, and then then after that, I had suddenly a very very sort of unexpected question, where I was asked, if you're posted in Northeast, what will you do? So I said, there are three things that I would like to have in my mind. One, and I would like to put them into action as well. One is, uh, encouraging the education, and people, and motivating more people to take up education. And second, and creating employment opportunities, and to reduce the rate of unemployment. And number two, I said, so physical connectivity and establishing that is very important, as trading between one of the states of the Northeast and one of the neighboring countries, for example, Bangladesh, is very easy when compared to trade between Northeastern states and other parts of India, given the geographical nature of those states. Hence, I said, this way we can capitalize the benefits of globalization. After that, I said emotional integration is very important, as we have to make the people feel very much a part of India. And I'm sure today, with the efforts of our government, the situation has transformed. And now the people of Northeast are feeling very much, into India, and they are benefiting a lot from the policies of our government. So thanks to our government. So after that, I said, these are the things that I will do. And they asked me, what if your friend is posted in Northeast? I said, whether you will, they said, please answer it realistically. I said, sir, I wanted to take a very practical approach in this regard. I said, I will say, I don't know, sir, whether my friend is willing to go there, work, etc. But I will say that the northeastern region requires the work of brilliant officers like you. So you please go and serve. So that would be my response. After that, the ball was moved to the next person, who the lady member who asked me about patriarchy. How did patriarchy start? Do you have any clue? I said, in majority of the Indian families, at least in the middle class families, the father takes the decision and the mother implements the decision. When the child happens, but of course, the situation is changing now with the efforts, with the tireless efforts of our honorable government. So I said, when the child observes this, the child begins to think that, okay, so the father is capable of decision making and the mother can implement. So I said, this might be the beginning of patriarchy, though I'm not very sure, ma'am. I told her. Then she asked me whether women are sacrificing their traditional role. I said, yeah, no, ma'am, because women are very good at multitasking. So while working outside, and while having exhibited excellent way of work, still women are not sacrificing the traditional role. She said, okay, and then she passed on the ball to the next person, who asked me about my favorite book, etc. I said my favorite book was Things Fall Apart, and I talked about the book from cover to cover. So I recommend all of you to be very very familiar with making yourself thorough absolutely thorough with your curriculum vitae, with your DAF, because we might be searching for information outside, learning new things. But the best thing is to catch the bird which is in your hands, rather than aiming to get something which is not, which is not in your hands. So I think the best thing is to first strengthen your biodata, and I think that is the need of the hour, without any further doubts. So I did this, and they asked me about the book. I was able to answer, but now comes the challenging part. They asked me about Rudyard Kipling, on whom I had a very limited knowledge, but I was not hesitating to say I don't know, because it's good. Then I think that's what is the expectation of the board as well. It's very good to say that I don't know with lot of confidence, than stammering and blabbering something on which you have no clue. So I said that, sir, Rudyard Kipling is a poet who has always written on, who had written on noble themes, with the usage of animals, but I didn't have any clue. I don't have any clue, sir, beyond this. So I'm sorry, I don't know. After that, the member said it's absolutely fine. Then they again asked me that the ball went to the next person, who asked me about the first speech topic that I have delivered when I was a child in my sixth standard, about the eradication of cancer. So I was explaining about it, and then the next person caught the word that I mentioned in the beginning. I forgot to tell you that when I spoke on Northeastern region, I also mentioned on the geostrategic importance of the region, and I also spoke about the importance of Myanmar. So immediately I was asked a question. You have mentioned about the geostrategic means. What does it mean? So what my suggestion to you is, in fact, you can lead the interview, in the sense, the words that you may use anywhere in before the board may become your other question. So be very not very, afraid of the words that you use, but be very careful with your words. And when you frame your words very properly, I think that will be a blessing for you. Because right now, how you can do it, you can start listening to All India Radio, where you can listen to news analysis, which comes at, I think now the time still remains 9:15 to 9:30, where you will be able to listen to a lot of bureaucrats who will be able to share certain perspectives on issues. Again, you can also involve yourself in these confidence building exercises, where you can stand in front of mirror, or where you can ask your people who will motivate you to sit, and you can talk before them. So that can be a good exercise to begin with, and to follow on until the day of your interview, so that you're very confident about yourself. So so I was asked about it, and I said that yes, to counter the influence of China, etc. Geostrategy is something which is very important. I spoke about look east policy also. After that, my questions went on FDI, and I said that FDI is good, provided the people are absorbed in the manufacturing sector, because I said that is where India has to make a lot of progress, and of course India is making it. And now under our government's very sincere efforts, we are making progress, obviously, as we all know. So I just mentioned that manufacturing sector could observe a lot of people who will be left out, without who maybe, in fact, who not will be. Even the word will and may makes a lot of difference. So I said so. And then there were questions about corruption, and finally sir said that all the best, take care, etc. So my interview was an amalgamation of various topics. See, I will just tell you two three things. Let's not get guided by perceptions. Oh, this board is like this. hence this will be like this. Oh, I got this board, oh my god, I mean, it's like this. I mean, let's not go by stereotypes, let's not go by perceptions, because your experience may be very different. So once you are very cool headed at your interview venue, then you have all the power, all the effort, all the mind to bring back your thoughts and put them into words. That is very important. Number two, when we don't make perceptions, we are absolutely ourselves. I think that is what will help you. Just because someone's experience has been so good with a person, with a board, it doesn't mean that, it has to be like that. Or just because someone's experience has not been very cordial with a certain board, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that for you. So you are different. Learn to appreciate yourselves. And I would like to remind you of one of the quotes of Shakespeare, sir, where he said, it is not in the stars to write up your destiny, but it is in your hands to write up your destiny. I think all of you are born to write up your own destiny. And again, I'm reminded of a quote by Stephen Hopkins: however difficult life may seem to be, but there is always a way that you can do and succeed at. So you guys have already broken all the barriers, whatever it may be. Everybody has a different barrier, but we are all here. We are all getting an opportunity to enter this portal. So be absolutely confident, but not overconfident. But before the board, just present yourselves and don't get nervous. And I think that is what the board wants to see. And uh, in front of the board, uh, you uh, don't try to uh, act over smart and say that say things which, or on which you're not absolutely sure of, because that might put you a little bit on the wronger side. So I think um, ways to say a certain thing is very important. So even when you're attending mock interviews, just when the interview goes good, it's fine. But when the interview doesn't go in the way that you wanted it to go, the mock interviews that you attend, just don't get demotivated. Just think that learn how to strengthen your strengths and weaken your weaknesses. That's it. There's no point in getting demotivated. So try to give balanced answers. I'm sure many officers must have told you, try to give balanced answers, and also give analytical answers. For example, many people will be confused on how to say, why did you prepare for civil services? You need not be, a very idealistic and say that, oh, I'm here only to serve the nation. No, that nobody would believe that. I mean, obviously that is the main motto, but I think we have to be very practical in this. We can say, for example, I wanted to say my answer was this, but I wasn't asked that question. But if I were to answer that question, I would have said, see, civil services, sir, civil services is the place where I can serve the nation, no doubt about it. That was my main motivation behind preparing for this. Number two, I had inclination to serve the people, and I had certain examples to quote, like bringing in the geo. So you can bring out examples in your own life. In your school, you must have helped somebody, you must have helped somebody in your college, so you can recollect those incidents, which might be convincing factor. And number three, I wanted to say that as a student of literature, I learned how to understand a society with the help of the literary works. So I was able to, with the help of literature, I might be able to better understand or better comprehend the problems and its roots, so that I can I can be of use in finding solutions to those issues. So that way you can you all have respective disciplines. Some might be an engineer, some might be a doctor. So I think you can develop answers with respect to your particular field. And you can also say personal anecdotes if you have something, but being um, giving very crisp answers and being very short but to the point, and absolutely being mindful of your words will all help you. So I don't want to be that person who gives a lot of gyan, but I really want to take your questions.
Wow. Really a wonderful session, Beno. Thank you so much. Yeah. I
So
think
there are
most,
questions.
yeah. Now we are at the end of the session. Friends,
Yeah.
I request you not to leave the session. Hereafter, just we are going to inform you a lot of things. So please stay for some more time, another 5 to 10 minutes. Now I request the students to ask a few questions.
So there are doubts like this. Benu ma'am, can we? Benu ma'am?
You allow the students directly to ask the questions.
Oh, yes. Chetna wants to speak.
The
Chetna.
students, those who are
Yes.
asking the questions, you are requested to switch on your video.
Hello, Benu ma'am. First of all, I'm very inspired by your story, and I really feel privileged to be talking to you. Secondly, ma'am, I have a question regarding, like, I am a very aggressive person in a personal life. So I want to know how to be like in that balanced mode where I am being given I have already given my opinion, but the board is actually hinting me towards some other opinion. So how to shift that from one opinion to other opinion if they are hinting towards it, or should I shift or should I not shift? Is like that's how what I'm struggling with.
You're Chetna, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Chetna, it's equally delighting for me to talk to you. See, uh, I understand that your nature is aggressiveness as you have portrayed, but
Mm.
what I feel is that as an officer later, because you're wanting to become an officer, right?
Mm,
So when
mm.
you are an officer, obviously you cannot be aggressive, right? In
Yes.
what decisions you make. So
Mm,
first, you have to realize that mentally. So, see,
mm,
being quicker in decision making is very good, but making decisions with absolute know how and absolute calm mind is the most important thing. So, I think it's better that you inculcate this quality right from now, right from this moment, okay,
mm,
rather
mm.
than beginning to acquire that after you probably clear, right? So, I
Sure.
think the first thing you just tell yourself is that now you are going to be a refined officer, right?
Mm,
Already I see an officer in you, but you should be a refined officer, right? So if in this mindset, if you will be able to take positions now, you will be able to do it with absolute no problems. And even if the board is hinting you in the other side,
mm,
let me tell you, it's not mandatory that you absolutely change your position and just go in favor of the board. That is not
mm,
essential. But just be polite to put out your point so that you don't hurt the members, because they are learned men, absolutely learned men. So before them, you can just portray yourself in a very balanced position, and you need not get aggressive, but be polite. Sir, I have a humble submission, and then you can make your point, but with the usage of words you have to be very careful. That is one thing. So
mm,
what you do is that you can do one exercise from today. You can take controversial topics, and you can start speaking on your own, in front of mirror, and then you
mm.
can imagine what kind of questions the board will again pose towards you, and how you can respond. You can imagine various scenarios, and you can practice, and never get aggressive before board. And it doesn't mean that you have to be all humble, you have to be just submissive before the board. Yes, you got to be humble, but at the same time it's very important that you maintain your calm, and say the answers in a very polite but in a firm manner. Firmness is also something that will add feathers to your cap. All the best.
Okay. Thank you,
Uh,
ma'am. Thank you so much.
before letting Akash speak, I want to ask one doubt of the students. What is the other phrase for I don't know that we need to tell to the panel, ma'am.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What
How
are
to
the
say I
other
don't know?
phrases that we can use for I don't know?
What is the, sorry?
No, how
Other
to say I
phrases.
don't know? We should not say I don't know, but what are the other words we can use?
We can say nobody is restricting you to say from restricting you from saying I don't know. Sir, I don't know, sir, I'm sorry. This is also fine, but you can say it more in a more refined manner. Sir, I'm not aware of it. Sir, I'm so sorry, I'm not aware of it. Or, sir, I would like to update on this in the days to come. Sir, I really ask your pardon. I don't want to use the word beg. I believe that I have that self, pride. It's not over pride, but then I should have a self dignity, right? So I say, sir, I really ask your pardon. I will learn on this today itself, which was but I'm so sorry, sir, that I'm not aware of this. So you can say that way. Or, sir, I will be very glad to make myself abreast of this in the shorter time as soon as possible, etc. So yeah, these are the things, the ways in which you can say that. But saying I don't know, sometimes spontaneously it can happen. I don't know, it's not an offense. Don't get tensed. You know, when something that something happens that you don't really desire, that it shouldn't have happened, just don't get tensed. Don't be just engrossed in trying to rectify it. It's okay, board will understand that you're also tensed, but just go on and change your perception by giving balanced, soft, but yet firm answers in the minutes to come after that.
Yes, ma'am. Over to Akash. Akash wants to speak something.
Ma'am, good evening. First of all, ma'am, I would like to thank you thank you very much regarding this very informative and very interactive session. Ma'am, I am having one question. Suppose the board asks philosophical questions. For example, how much control over his life? Or if God is good, why is there so much evil in the world? For example, COVID-19 pandemic is there, unemployment is there. So how to address such questions? Ma'am, I think that you might be, as you are already a student of literature, you would be very much helpful in this regard. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, your other, right?
Akash.
Your
Ma'am, I'm Akash.
Akash, yeah. Congratulations, Akash. Your question is actually it's a very good question. So you know what? When you will get philosophical questions, just don't get nervous. But that is the first thing. Second, when it comes to philosophical questions, one of the benefits is that you're not right, you're not wrong. So you have the luxury of giving the answers as you can put your thoughts. So here you can, for example, the question like this: why there is so much of evil in the world? See, you, if you're a student of sociology, probably you can handle it with whatever concepts you know. So I'm a student of literature, you can handle it with whatever concepts I know. So I mean, if you are not remembering anything of that sort also, it's fine. So you can also say, sir, the question is very, you can take some even 20 seconds. I think the board has never reduced marks for anybody for taking some time, but be conscious of not to take too much time. But you can take some 20-25 seconds, and then you can very well say that yes, there is COVID pandemic, and there is there is unemployment, there is illiteracy, etc. So you say, sir, I may not probably know why why there is so much of evil in the world, but I probably, your question makes me to think that makes me to find the purpose for me to wanting for me to want to get into the civil services, because these problems are there, I know. I don't know, I may not know why these problems are there, but I certainly know that these problems require solutions. And now, sir, your question is really helpful for me to strengthen even my inner drive of why I want to get into this golden, civil services. Um, uh, yes, these are the problems which are there, but we need to find solutions to handle these problems, and that is the need of the hour. Sir, in terms of your question regarding why there is so much of evil, there is a dichotomy. Certain people talk of the existence of both good and evil. Certain philosophers have said that if there is evil, there should be good. There should be certain philosophers have taken also another view that there is nothing like good and evil. So the end is very important. As long as the end is very good, then the means are not important. There is another school which says that the means are also as important as the ends. There is this dichotomy. Whatever it is, sir, whether we talk of means or whether we talk of ends, whatever we talk of, but whatever is true right now in front of us is we have problems, and it is also true that we need to find solutions. So I really want to approach this from a very practical point of view, sir. That's it. Whatever comes to your mind, you just speak it out, but don't deviate from the question too much. You have to answer to the point, but in a very careful manner, and not to hurt anybody or offend anybody in the board.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to Arjun now. Arjun, please ask.
Ma'am, thank you for your wonderful session. First of all, ma'am, I'm Arjun speaking. Ma'am, I'm a bit confused when it comes to how to balance between brevity as well as better content delivery. So whenever I actually go for better contents, like I'll go for firstly, secondly, and thirdly, I usually explain a lot. So I feel like the board loses interest after a bit. So how can I bring much more brevity in my answers, ma'am?
See, first of all, so your name is the epics point
Yes.
out. So
Your audio is not. Can you please check? Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, please. Clement, can you please help? Yeah. Sir is there. Clement, sir.
now is it okay?
Yes, madam.
So bringing in lot of breath. I think you should start practice.
No. Actually, some issues there. Yes. Once.
Sir, I request else to mute so that that may.
Yes, Arjun. Can you please just mute everyone. Madam, except.
Hello.
Now it's clear.
Yeah. So thing is that Arjun and everybody, or like whoever is wanting to incorporate more brevity, see, there are two things here. Explaining what you want to is very important, because only then the board will understand how good you are and what you want to say, and that will alone help the board to judge you. But again, if you speak so much, obviously they are very learned men. Even in the first 3 to 4 words of your sentence, they will be able to get what you are actually wanting to bring out. So the best way is to now practice, for around 10 questions, 10 difficult questions. You can really write your answers. You can use certain words. For example, you, instead of saying people, Indians who are staying abroad, you can use the word diaspora. For you can, instead of talking about, sir, these are the problems in administration, and there is corruption, there is this, there is that, you can use the words like transparency. You can use capacity building. These words will enhance your brevity, but at the same time reduce the time that you're talking. So using these registers, they are called registers, using these jargons, economic inequalities, or equilibrium, and like instead of saying bringing things to a proper balance, and then you can just see to establish equilibrium. Such expressions can help you. This is one thing. Second, you can write and see for 10 questions, you please write answers for 10 questions, and you yourself, and I'm not expecting anyone else to come in this, you really write your answers, and then you yourself read your answers, and then you see, I could have reduced here, I could have reduced in this place, I could have reduced in this my answer in this particular sentence. I should have spoken little bit lesser, or I should have given more weightage to this sentence, and I should have given less weightage to this sentence. So when you will see your own errors every day, if you keep writing for answers for 7 questions, I think that's when you will begin to identify where you can be more brief and where you have to be more elaborate, right? So that sort of exercise can definitely help you to bring down your answers. So this wanting to be very short ended in your answers, it should not stop you from expressing yourself. So but at the same time, brevity is very important. So you can say firstly, secondly, thirdly, you can use those phrases, nothing harmful in it. In fact, if I'm a board member, I would love it, because firstly, secondly, thirdly tells me that you are very clear in your thoughts, but just don't speak elaborate sentences. That's why I'm telling you this exercise. You please write and see wherever you can, wherever you're too long, just try to shorten it. It gets, if you keep doing this exercise for 10 days unconsciously, your mind will learn from your errors, and you will automatically be more shorter. And of course, you can take the help of your peers to or the seniors, or the institute, to help you to shorten your answers over the time. After discussing with them also for 10 days, they can tell you, see, instead of these many 5 words in this particular sentence, you could have used only 1 word. So that sort of peer review will also help you in this exercise, and this exercise will of course help you to make your answers very short. That's what I could think at this moment.
Arjun,
Thank
I
you.
want to add one more point here.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
So whenever you are going to give very short answers, and when your answer is very short and sweet, you will be having a lot of opportunities to have more number of questions. So you can give very detailed explanation to the questions in which you are very, very strong. So you have to wait for the opportunity for such type of questions in which you are very, very strong. Otherwise, for some of the questions, just you can just give very short answers, so that we can have more number of questions. What will happen? Yeah.
To add to you,
Yes.
even in places where he's very strong, if he speaks a lot, then the board might lose interest. So this exercise will of course help him to sharpen his way of answering.
Yes.
You can say this might of questions can help him to give better answers. You can also say this exercise can sharpen his answer saying. So I mean, there are ways. Only thing is that by practice he will be able to, by this exercise he will be able to definitely inculcate that habit. All the best, Arjun.
And Arjun, and the one-on-one session of video already we have shared with you. You can also just, as Madam said, you can just watch the video, through which you can also rectify your mistakes. And through we are also going to share all the mock interview videos, which are going to start very soon. That also will help you. Madam, is there any one who wants to ask questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful session. I want to ask you a question that how to manage a balanced approach on controversial questions.
See, the best way is to write down all the controversial issues that you think, and search for the answers given by the bureaucrats, or leaders, etc. That's why I'm suggesting you to listen to news analysis, listen to YouTube. For example, annexation of Crimea, whether India should vote in favor of it. For example, right now, India exported vaccines. So is it right or wrong? So these controversial questions, you can say, we have a need, but at the same time we had to do that because we are a responsible nation, and things like that. So being an officer, you have to take a balanced approach. And how do you get it? You read the you see, for example, you see how our honorable external affairs minister had responded to queries like this. So how our government had responded to queries like this, and not just literally copying from there, because you have a personality of your own. So giving a touch of flavor from your own personality to that particular question is very might help you, might help the board actually to tell that you had taken the time, because the board will obviously know what every bureaucrat had said regarding this, etc., because they are very well learned. So you can just they will know that you have taken time to read those balanced approaches, how they have handled issues, at the same time giving a flavor of your own, giving a conclusion at the end, that this is, given all these factors, sir, this is my opinion is this. So if you give an answer like that, they will also understand that you're a person who will be able to make your own decisions when certain factors are given to you. See, being a bureaucrat, after you will get into office, what will happen? You will be presented with 50 facts, and you will have to segregate the right and wrong, and you will have to segregate the less important ones and the more important ones, and you will have to take a balanced decision which will be helpful and which would be equally useful to everybody, right? So that is the skill that is being tested. So you have to show the board that, given all these factors and keeping in line with government's stated policy of this, I have my opinion would be this, like this. You can refine your answers.
Thank you, Binu.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to
Friends.
Catherine.
Hello, ma'am. This is Catherine. Ma'am,
Hi.
good listening to you. Ma'am, we also have something in common. I've also done my UG in Stella and PG at Loyola College.
Can
So
you switch
could
on
you
your video?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please. Yes.
I've also done my
No. No, please. It's not audible. It's not audible.
From Stella and Loyola respectively. And I think only one of, sorry, sir. Ma'am, could you please share your personal strategy on how you prepared for these? These are informations that are listed in our DAF. So how did you prepare, ma'am? Could you throw light on that?
Prepared information on what? Preparing on what?
On the colleges, ma'am. Stella Maris College and Loyola College. So did you have to prepare anything specific for the college?
Yes, definitely. In every word of your biodata, right, you have to prepare. There is no doubt in it. See, for example, it's not just specific to you, but everybody who is listening, like everybody has to prepare on colleges from where they have studied, the district in which it is actually located, and who founded the college, or whether it is a university. If that is a university, whether it's a deemed university, or does it what is the act under which, or statute under which it has been constituted, and what is the nature of it, how many universities are in our country, and is there any world class university, and if there is one, then what are the things we should do to improve our education system? If there is no world class university, why we are lacking, etc., and what is the speciality of our college, and regarding these colleges, how can you strengthen the quality of education? What is your suggestion on it? So I think these are all the questions that are general to everybody. So you should be preparing. So if you take the word college, you should keep your horizon of thinking a lot and expanding your questions. You can write 100 questions out of this, and you can start preparing. So who is the founder? Right from that, you can start, how many colleges are there in my district? how many universities, what is the literacy percentage in my district, in my state, in the country, and what is the reason for the increased literacy rate or the decreasing literacy rate, or whatever it is. I mean, like decreasing in the sense comparatively, and what is the reason, or what is the guiding force which has made somebody to learn further. Why in a certain state the literacy rate is quite low, and why in the other the literacy rate is very high, and what are the government policies to promote education, and how can you do you think the deemed universities are good, having them are good. All these things are common to everybody, as we have all qualified in a college, right, or in a university. So I think strengthening on these questions is not just absolutely mandatory for Catherine, but everybody who is just going to attend the personality test.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, can I ask one question? Shubham here.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, please.
Ma'am,
Go ahead.
yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, my question is with respect to voice modulation that is required in the interview. So, ma'am, in the answers where we are confident, our voice delivery is generally of a higher pitch. But in some answers where we do not have that much clarity, or maybe we are underconfident in the gray areas, there we cannot maintain the same amount of or same pitch of our voice. So how to deal with this? Because many a times it leads to the impression that person is not confident in all the answers, or there is a too much of fluctuation, and
See,
they may
do something.
yeah,
As
yes, ma'am.
an officer, I'm asking you tomorrow, if you're being posted as the health secretary, right, and if you're facing COVID pandemic, okay, if you because we have no answers, we had no definite answers initially. We didn't even we didn't even have the expertise on COVID. It's a very new virus. So I mean, just for that, if you are less confident in dealing with it, will that help the government? No, right? So all the problems which will be thrown to you, right, from, for example, COVID, etc., will all be new, will be very challenging, right? So whether you know the answer, whether you don't know the answer, I think your voice should be the same. That is ideal. Yes, of course, I understand we are human beings and we get tensed, but that is what we should work now. We should not keep working to we should not just focus our entire time to improve on the amount of information that we have. It is there already with us, but now these are the things that you should be working on. Like, even if you don't know, you should have the courage to say, I don't know, sir, with the same amount of confidence with which you have answered the questions that you knew very well. So I think now personality test is all about molding yourself towards that objective, rather than just focusing on increasing your know-how on new things. So you have to be stable in that, and that amount of emotional stability is very important, because as an officer, that is what is required. And you can practice it. I mean, if you don't know, that's why you have the luxury of saying I don't know. This is the only test probably in the world where you will be recognized for saying I don't know, right? I mean, even if you don't know, it's fine. No one is going to penalize you. So then why are you afraid of it? So please don't be frightened, please don't be afraid, please don't be nervous. Just say, I don't know, sir, I would like to learn about it as soon as possible. I would like to learn on it right on this day, sir. So be as confident to say that. Why do you hesitate to say that you don't know, right? So I think it's equally important for someone to accept that you don't know, because that is the need of the hour, and that is what the personality test is all about. So your voice modulation is absolutely essential, and please don't give the board the impression that you are hesitating in the places where you're not very much happy with your own answers. Just be confident in saying that, because that even if you say lakhs of words for the answers that you know, if you say that I don't know with lot of confidence, that will fetch you more marks than giving actually the right answers. So why do you get afraid in the place that you will not even be penalized? There is no negative marking for saying I don't know. In fact, there is a positive marking. So I think you should never be afraid, and your voice should be the same. And that is the emotional management that you are portraying to the board. It's not just intelligent quotient that they are saying, but EQ is as important as your IQ.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. It was nice to interact with you, ma'am. Thank you.
Venu, ma'am, there is one other doubt. I'm Madhavi speaking.
Yeah. Can you keep it as the last question, if you
Yes.
don't mind?
Okay, okay, ma'am. So last question is that if there is a people who are switching too many jobs, how they can answer when the panel asks, why are you switching too many jobs?
See, switching too many jobs, it's not mandatory to look at it in a very negative fashion all the time. Switching too many jobs, you might have been very competent to do so, because people will not just take you and keep paying for what you are not good at, right? And second thing, when you will switch jobs, you will get obviously more exposure, and you will be able to be acquainted with lot of people. And at the same time, you're also bold enough to believe in yourself that you will get placed again. So it's just how you put your words into your thoughts into words. It may not always be seen negatively. You please don't create impressions that, if I say that I quit, I changed multiple employers, then they might penalize you. It's not the case. If you're able to do so, which means obviously there would have been problems, or you might not have been satisfied with the salary, or certain factors like distance may have made you to take such decisions. But at the same time, I think it also has certain amount of positivity. Your exposure to different circumstances, different people, different environment will also make you a better civil servants, in the sense that you will be able to bring that exposure of dealing with multiple people, multiple stakeholders, and multiple actors in whatever you are doing. So I think that is a very you can convert even certain things into a positive phenomenon for you. It's all the trick is not about using complex words, but the trick is about using simple words to communicate your thoughts very briefly and nicely.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, ma'am, may I ask one question?
Yeah, please tell me.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm
Good
Nima.
evening.
I have one doubt that usually, especially able girl, she faces certain challenges. Firstly, is that she is considered to be a soft target for violence against women. She is considered to be a soft target, and secondly is that by the virtue of her gender, her parents, they are less keen on investing resources on her medical intervention or therapy sessions. So what is the way forward? How can we help in this regard?
Yes, obviously. See, there is lot of progress on this. Earlier, there was literally the know-how on educating, a girl, and that to a girl with physical challenges, was very was not taken very seriously. These days, with the efforts of our government, yes, it is progressing. So, your question precisely was how to make things easier, and to realize that the parents, to make the people who care for those people realize that it is worth in investing. So we are making a huge progress. And I think the best way, apart from government's policies, is people who have achieved, especially women, especially women with challenges. If people go and speak about these things, and when media will take these things seriously, it will reach the rural areas, because media is the very powerful tool which can take a lot of things to the rural areas, and it is frankly the only medium. So if we will make use of media and accommodate more such news articles, that can bring in lot of confidence, which will in turn make the parents or caregivers to give a lot of time and resources on people with physical challenges.
Ma'am, another question I have is that how can we work for the education, their education, because they have their challenges with regards to accessing the accessible websites or accessible textbooks and all. So, and even the educators. So, how can we go about it and
Someone
help?
who is listening to this topic seminar might be working in Google. Someone might be working in a IT company. So we can always be conscious of bringing about accessible tools. So in whichever field you are, for example, if you're working in a company, an IT company, where you have the weekends free, you can really take out your time and record some textbooks in audio format. Or you can, there are many schools and colleges where there are people with different needs. You can help assist them, reach out to them, read them certain books, or help them to write. So there are various avenues, and there are certain websites also like scribing.com, etc., which you can use, and you can of course help. And today every information is available on the internet. I'm glad that you raised these issues, and I also am very happy that there's a lot of sensitivity coming up regarding these issues. So it's very nice to listen to you, and of course there are avenues. So you can go to scribing.com, volunteers, you can volunteer, so you can help them. So in whatever field you are, according to your time and energy, you can do that. But at the moment, I really request you to focus on your personality test, after which you can uh, continue to undertake such endeavors.
Ma'am, last question. May I ask?
Yeah, please.
It was the High Court, that is the Andhra Pradesh High Court. It observed that they are mostly the women with challenges. They are considered to be soft targets for harassment. So, how to overcome that?
Every apart from the policies, that's what I'm telling you, you have to whenever you will meet women with physical challenges, or that can be men, women, everybody, you can explain them about these things, like if there is a harassment, how to report, where to report, what is the number. So information is the powerful tool. It's a very powerful tool which can change one's life. So if there is if that information gap is bridged, then I think that will be taken care of, because when more and more people report on such things, that will be taken into cognizance while making laws, and it will bring more much of attitudinal change in the society as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Over to-
Beno.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Sir, please.
friends, we are almost in the end of the session. Thank you so much, Beno. Really, it's a wonderful session. I'm sure definitely they will never forget in their life such a wonderful session. Friends, finally, I want to request you to give a vote of thanks. Before that, just we want to tell you that what are all the programs we are having in the upcoming days. Mock interview session, it is going to start from July first week. Every Saturday and Sunday we will be having a session. We are having around 10 panel members, 10 panels, which consist of around 3 to 4 members. As of now, we have finalized 3 panel. So the sorry, 6 panels we already finalized. We are about to finalize another 4 panels. So once if the panel members are finalized, then we will just share all the details. All Saturday and Sundays in the month of July as well as in the month of August, there will be a mock interview. It will be recorded, it will be shared with you. So those who are interested to take the mock interview in the month of July, you can always just approach Madhavi ma'am. and she will give the order of preference based on your interview date and other things and all. She will take care. And the panel 1 already I have read about it. There's a panel 6, Santosh Babu IAS, who will be the chairperson, Nandakumar IRS, Nandamoran IRS. Apart from that, one subject expert will be there from our academy, and one more editor will be there from the different journals. And Vivek Harinaran IAS will be the chairperson for the another panel. And of course, panel 1 is going to be headed by Vivek Harinaran IAS. Along with him, Anup Jaiswal IPS and General editor will be there. And along with these 3 members, one more person will be there from our academy. And yeah, these are all the panel members. Anyway, we will share in the group so that you can watch. But thing is, you have to reserve your date. That's very important. Once if you are reserving your date, after that only we will form a panel, and we will just fix up the time and everything. Once if you are giving your date and time, please don't change it, because it's very, very difficult for us to coordinate. Madhav ma'am is the one who is coordinating the entire program. You know it very well. For the last 2.5 months, how much she is working for this kind of session. She, under her leadership, almost we prepared more than 60,000 questions already. I have mentioned, for each and every candidate we prepared 150 to 200 questions. It is the very biggest task we have completed. Then one-to-one session is completed. Now third phase, that is a special session. Today we are going to complete the special session. Madam is the chief guest, and really one of the most important session. Definitely nobody can forget. So with this, we are winding up the special session. Let us meet in the mock interview, which is going to start from July 1st.
So much opportunity, and hope to see every listener of this as my junior very shortly. And all the very best, and do your interview very well. And keep yourself calm, and the rest will be taken care of.
Madam, just 1 or 2 minutes, madam. The students, they are the one normally they'll give the vote of thanks. So we are in the end of the program. I request the students coming with the vote of thanks. Actually, now I want to thank on behalf of the academy. I want to thank Madhavi for excellent coordination. Second one is I want to thank all the resource persons whoever have come from the day one to play. And finally, without your sincere participation, this program would not have been so successful.